Demand for charities has skyrocketed. Let's have a look. Hello everyone, Florian.heise here, and welcome to another episode of HeiseSays. I have my morning stein of coffee, and I thought we'd have a look at this article from the ABC News. It's discussing Brisbane charities swamped as well. The recession deepens. And of course, being ABC, they're calling for government assistance. But before we go through this article, let's just bring up another article I looked at, well, not 4 hours ago, but in August of last year. Banks are now referring people to food banks to help them pay their mortgage. In August last year, everyone. And, we went through this article, and I'll be able to link to the video up above, if I get organized enough. But food bank providers were essentially, they noticed an uptick. Every time big bills come in, they get an uptick. But banks were referring people to the food bank to get food so they could keep paying their mortgage. Now, this is before the banks became all super nice and started just giving people 6-month loan deferrals. So do you think they're gonna be so nice for a prolonged period? Do you think they're going to keep giving loan referrals when in the past, in just last year, they were referring people to food banks? And this is before we had a recession. This is when all the spruikers were saying everything was going to be good. Property always goes up. Australia's different. I'm still seeing some people say that. So let's have a look at this, everyone. Let's have a look. And I'm reading this before I've had my breakfast. So even with my keto diet, those French sticks look appealing. So Brisbane charities swamped as the economic fallout from the pandemic deepens, with no government assistance in sight. Well, there is a lot of government assistance. We've seen now that the New Start is going to get a $75 a week increase. They're going to pull back the bonus, but not entirely, which I think is good. It seems like a reasonable amount, because it was quite cruel giving people all this extra money and then just taking it off them straight away. Everyone can agree with that. The sad thing is, if people have adjusted their lifestyle, if they've moved into more expensive places or taken on debt based on this higher amount, do you think people would do that, everyone? Let me know in the comments. Let me know in the comments. So, when Brazilian student Hayan first moved to Australia to study a diploma in leadership and management, she never imagined she'd be forced to rely on a charity to stop her from going hungry. But after the university students' working hours were drastically slashed due to the pandemic shutdown, she was left with no other choice. Ineligible for any financial support from the government, she has been relying on free food for the past 2 months. I don't want to take free food that could help other people in more need than me, but I decided this is the only place I can come, she said. The money that I earn, I can spend on my rent, and this food really helps. Number of mouths to feed doubles. So people are getting to the point where they're having to depend on this food just to keep them going. And the recession's only just begun, everyone. It's only just begun. She's one of hundreds of people who have lined the streets in the Brisbane suburb of West End to receive free food from South Brisbane-based charity Community Friends. The organisation's founder, Mark McDonnell, said the number of people they were feeding has doubled over the course of the pandemic. We used to get around 100 to 150 people, and now there are over 250, he said. Last week the lines were so long, some people missed out. So they're running out of food. In a Facebook post, Community Friends said the lineup for food last week was so long it started in a park and staked its way back to the end of Thomas Street. There you go. 30 people missed out on free food last week. We've never had so many people miss out before, the post read. These people had waited so long in the line, they still missed out. Community Friends is one of several charities across Queensland reporting a similar spike in demand for its services. Other Queensland charities such as Food Bank, River Life Baptist Church, and the program run by the University of Queensland have all experienced a surge in demand. As job cuts bite and the economic fallout of the pandemic deepens, an increasing number well, it's not really the economic fallout of the pandemic, it's the economic fallout of the government shutdown of the economy, but I mean, we're just playing semantics here. An increasing number of people have been relying on charities to help put food on the table. The pandemic has also seen our clientele change, and it's now international students who make up the majority of those in need. They're doing it tough. Students who work for food delivery businesses have to pay $80 a week to hire the required bicycles to do the job, let alone to find the money for the cost of their accommodation and other expenses. Food Bank Queensland said it had been overwhelmed with demand since the onset of the pandemic. The organisation said it expected the situation to deteriorate further after the federal government indicated plans to cut the JobKeeper wage subsidy in coming months. You're going to have more and more people that are depending on this. I mean, here's the issue, everyone. Here's the issue. So charities are struggling without support. Mr. McDonald said all these smaller charities like his were doing it tough with no government assistance. Despite receiving no financial support from the Queensland government and relying solely on public donations, the organisation also helps TAFE Queensland feed 2,000 international students 2 days every week. The organisation collects more than 20 million kilograms of food and groceries from farmers, manufacturers and retailers each year that would otherwise go to waste. It recently had to relocate due to social distancing requirements, so that those in need could safely line up on the street and pick up their food before moving on. I mean, here's the thing. Here's the thing. Remember on the Gold Coast, when there were all these issues with council, with people wanting to shut down these charities providing food because they didn't want the homeless around their posh homes. Remember that? We looked at that last year. I wonder how that's all going to change. I wonder if some of those people, it would be somewhat fitting, I think, somewhat fitting and humbling, I think, for some of those people who wanted the homeless people to move on, to become dependent on the charity. What do you think, everyone? Do you think that might happen? I think it might. Probably a good learning lesson for some people. Each week, volunteers Julie and Warren Barnhill have helped collect food, load the truck, and hand out bags for community friends. We were lucky enough to retire young, and we had always donated financially to different charities, but now we're able to donate our time, she said. It is good to give back and help people in need, he said. So bags of fruit and vegetables have been prepared for those in need by community friends and volunteers for West End. Well, here's the thing as well, with all of these charities, with the food that they're going to be giving out, it has to be stuff. I mean, the fruit and veg, I mean, it's not going to last. It'll last longer than, and it won't require any refrigeration. That's the thing. A lot of the stuff they hand out will be, canned product stuff just to keep people going. Just to keep people going. You're not going to have an optimal diet eating the stuff you get here. But I guess, you can't be picky. You can't be picky. So one Brisbane charity says it's feeding about double the number of people it did prior to the pandemic. Rather than the homeless, international students now make up the majority of those in need of food drives. Other charities report a similar spike, with Food Bank Queensland overwhelmed with demand. And this is before we have the banks once again encouraging people to go to food banks. What do you think, everyone? This is simply a demand from the international students. Unemployment, sure, it's shot up. But people are still getting, the bonus job seeker, which will be increased. People are still on mortgage holidays. Businesses are still propped up by JobKeeper. Are we going to see more of this in September? Are people still arguing for a V-shaped recovery? What's going to happen to these properties when these students go home, when they can get out of here? What happens if we start getting a flood of more and more people needing to depend on this? What does this say for the future of the recession, everyone? We're only a couple of weeks in. As always, please let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comments below. Please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. If you're a fan and want to support the content I create here, there are a few ways you can. Simply joining the channel or interacting the channel on YouTube will help the algorithm and help the channel grow. You can join the channel on YouTube or Patreon for a small monthly fee. You can support us via using any of our affiliate links at Amazon or eBay or Independent Reserve and Kucoin. You can buy our merch at HeiseSays. You can support us via PayPal or Gold Pass. Take care.